I remember the exact moment the booking flow I had redesigned for 3 weeks still felt wrong. The user testing showed 7 out of 10 people hesitated at the same spot. Not confused, just paused. The interface was clean. The hierarchy was logical. Everything obeyed the brand guidelines, but it didn't obey the user's brain. At Xentro, we'd just taken over the UX for Nature Life's online booking system, and despite reducing visual clutter and improving load time, drop-off sat stubbornly at 62%. I was standing in a quiet testing room, watching a user's cursor hover over a drop-down that made perfect sense to me but none to them. That's when I saw the real problem. It wasn't a button color. It wasn't a broken form field. It was a mental model mismatch. And that mismatch was quietly killing conversions like a silent partner in the room. You see, every person who lands on your site brings a pre-built model of how the world works. They have assumptions about filters, about checkout steps, about what that magnifying glass icon means. This is called a mental model. It's the internal simulation your brain runs before you ever click a thing. When your interface aligns with that model, the user flows. When it doesn't, they stop. Not because your design is ugly, because it's unfamiliar. And unfamiliarity feels like risk. Jakob Nielsen's classic usability heuristic number 2 says the system should speak the user's language using words, phrases, and concepts familiar to the user. But that goes deeper than vocabulary. It's about structure. Most designers build the system model first, then hope users adapt. That's backwards. The billion-dollar lesson from Don Norman's research is simple. The designer's conceptual model must match the user's mental model. When they clash, the user blames themselves. They think, maybe I'm not techie enough, and they leave. It's silent attrition. Here's the mechanism that makes this deadly: cognitive fluency. The ease with which our brain processes information directly shapes trust. A Princeton study found that when people process something fluently, they rate it as more true, more likable, and more valuable. A drop-down that asks, select preferred avocational modality instead of what do you want to do, costs more than just seconds. It costs cognitive effort, and effort signals cost. Behavioral economist Daniel Kahneman showed our brains have a lazy controller that avoids heavy thinking whenever possible. When your checkout flow has 4 steps, but the user's mental model says, buying online takes 2, that extra 2 feels like friction. And the user doesn't count steps consciously. They feel a subtle tightness and click away. The twist is this: the cleaner your design looks, the more this mismatch hides. Beautiful interfaces create a halo that makes failures invisible in user testing. People in a study by Traktinsky rated aesthetically pleasing websites as more usable, even when they weren't. So your minimalist booking flow with elegant icon-only buttons might be bleeding users while getting compliments from your creative director. The aesthetic usability effect masks the mental model crack. So how do you find the real break? Go look at your analytics. Find a page where traffic enters but exits without scrolling. Then take someone who's never seen your product, not a colleague, not a designer, and watch them try to complete the core task without saying a word. The moment they pause, sigh, or say, you've located the model mismatch. Don't redesign the button. Redesign the mental pathway. At Xentro, Nature Life's booking uplift came when we swapped a 2-panel date and time picker, logical in our system model, for a single view. When would you like to come? Flow that matched how people schedule hair appointments in their real life. No training required. This week, run one thing: the walk-up test. Hand your phone to someone outside your industry, with your app or landing page open, and ask them to complete your most valuable action. Say nothing. If they look lost for even 2 seconds, you've found a mental model mismatch your team has been walking past for months. The answer won't be in your design file. It'll be in the user's pause. And that pause is where the money leaves. This isn't about beauty. It's about making the brain feel at home. That's the only conversion metric that ever really mattered.